Now to the object of this great show of force, the Taliban of Afghanistan and Osama bin Laden. Joining me once again from next door in Pakistan, from the capital of Islamabad, is NBC's Ron Allen. Ron, what's the latest there?
Tom, after 2 days of meetings by hundreds of religious leaders in Afghanistan, finally today a decision to do about what to do about bin Laden, only to have it rejected by Washington.
A rare gathering of religious leaders from across Afghanistan, an intense debate about how to respond to America's threat of massive retaliation for harboring Osama bin Laden. Afghanistan's government leaders, the Taliban, have been insisting they will defend bin Laden to the end. But today, the religious clerics issue a statement saying America should be patient, not attack, and suggesting the Taliban, quote, persuade Osama bin Laden to leave Afghanistan whenever possible.
I think there's very little likelihood at all. There's nowhere for him to go except into the arms of people who want to arrest him.
The few that might take in bin Laden? Chechnya, the breakaway Russian republic, northern Yemen, where bin Laden's family is from, and Somalia, all run by Muslim warlords. Today, the religious leaders also calling for an independent investigation by the UN or an organization of Islamic nations. Taliban leaders claiming bin Laden would cooperate.
Yes, of course, he is ready. If there is evidence, he is ready.
The American war machine headed in this direction. That's certainly something that has made them reassess the situation.
But a Pakistani diplomat who knows the Taliban well tells NBC News they're just buying time to, quote, head into the mountains before the U.S. strikes.
That diplomat also saying Pakistan's government has pretty much given up efforts to negotiate meaningfully with the Taliban leadership. They're on their own, he says. Tom?
Thank you very much. NBC's Ron Allen tonight in Islamabad in Pakistan. The United States is also using all of its diplomatic muscle, as well as some powerful incentives to pressure the Taliban. NBC State Department correspondent is Andrea Mitchell.
NBC News has learned the Taliban rulers of Afghanistan were offered a huge sum of cash in U.S. dollars from Saudi Arabia for the arrest of bin Laden and his network. An offer communicated secretly through Pakistan's President Musharraf. But today's decision by Afghanistan's Muslim clerics means, so far, no deal. Saudi Arabia's foreign minister at the White House today hints at their secret role.
There have been many efforts to persuade them in the past by Saudi Arabia that have not achieved the results.
As keepers of the faith, Islam's holiest sites, the Saudis are also telling the Muslim world bin Laden is an appropriate target, and so are the Taliban if they protect him.
We're still hopeful that Taliban will accept the wisdom of handing over criminals to face justice.
Another incentive. If the Taliban give up bin Laden and his network, the UN and the U.S. will lift sanctions on the regime, recognize the Taliban as the legitimate government of Afghanistan.
He is responsible for causing Afghanistan and its regime to be looked down upon by the rest of the world.
And there's the example of Pakistan next door. For siding with the U.S. against the Taliban and bin Laden, Pakistan could get as much as $30 billion in debt relief, emergency aid for refugees, and the removal of sanctions imposed when they tested nuclear weapons, enabling Pakistan to once again get U.S. military aid. The Saudis are also giving Pakistan free oil and promising to flood the world market with oil if necessary to keep prices stable. But they say they no longer have any influence with the Taliban because bin Laden has told the Taliban not to trust Saudi Arabia. Tom?
NBC's Andrea Mitchell tonight.